Millionaires rejected a weak horse, but a poor farmer's bold move shocked everyone. It was a day of grandeur and excitement. The biggest horse auction of the year had brought together the wealthiest buyers from far and wide. The massive arena, adorned with golden lights and elegant decorations, buzzed with conversations about power, prestige, and the perfect horses. Each majestic creature in the auction ring symbolized strength, beauty, and status. The bids climbed into the tens of thousands with every call from the auctioneer. Then, something unexpected happened. A frail, weak horse was brought into the spotlight. It stood trembling under the bright lights, its head hung low, and its coat was dull and patchy. Laughter echoed across the arena as the crowd began to mock its condition. "What a disgrace!" someone shouted. Nobody seemed interested, and the auctioneer was about to declare the horse unsold. But just as the gavel was about to strike, a voice came from the back of the room. A poor farmer had raised his hand to place a bid. The entire crowd froze in disbelief. The horse auction was unlike any other event. Held at an extravagant estate, the venue boasted lush green fields, a grand arena lined with velvet ropes, and stands filled with elite spectators dressed in their finest attire. The scene was alive with energy. Horses trotting gracefully under the golden sunlight, their manes flowing like silk in the wind. Each horse brought into the ring had a story. They were champions, descendants of legendary bloodlines, or prized stallions bred for their exceptional strength and speed. As the auctioneer called out bids, numbers rose quickly. 20,000, 30,000. Do I hear 40? This wasn't just a place to buy horses. It was a playground for the wealthy, where fortunes were flaunted and reputations were built. Every bid was a statement of power. The excitement was palpable, but for one man at the back, a simple farmer, this world seemed like a distant dream. Suddenly, the mood shifted. A new horse was led into the ring, and the crowd's chatter died down. All eyes turned to the animal, but what they saw surprised them. The horse was a shadow of the magnificent creatures that came before it. Its ribs showed through its thin, weak frame. Its coat, once of vibrant color, had turned dull and lifeless. The horse looked scared, its eyes darting around nervously as though expecting more ridicule than kindness. The crowd reacted instantly. "What's this doing here?" someone sneered. "It looks like it's about to collapse," another voice mocked. The auctioneer tried to keep the event moving, his tone faltering as he introduced the horse. "Ladies and gentlemen, here we have a unique entry. Shall we start at $1,000? He paused, looking around the room, but no hands went up. The horse shifted uncomfortably, its legs shaking as the crowd continued to laugh. It seemed hopeless. No one wanted the horse, and the auctioneer prepared to move on. Standing at the back of the crowd, away from the fancy suits and glamorous outfits, was a man who looked completely out of place. His clothes were simple, his boots worn from years of hard work, and his face carried the marks of a life spent in the fields under the sun. This poor farmer wasn't here to compete with the wealthy buyers. He hadn't come to buy a prize stallion or make a name for himself. He was there because he loved horses. To him, every horse had value, no matter how broken or weak it appeared. As the weak horse stood trembling in the ring, the farmer's heart ached. He could see beyond the frail body and the dull coat. In the horse's tired eyes, he noticed a faint glimmer, a spark that others had overlooked. While the crowd saw a lost cause, the farmer saw a creature that had been neglected and mistreated but still had a chance to live and thrive. He thought about his own struggles, the times when others had doubted him, and how he had managed to keep going despite it all. The auctioneer raised his gavel, ready to declare the horse unsold. "Last call. No bids? All right then." But before he could finish, a hand shot up in the back of the room. It was the farmer. The crowd turned in unison, their expressions a mix of confusion and disbelief. Who would bid on such a hopeless creature? The murmurs started immediately. "Is he serious? Does he even have the money for this? He's wasting his time." The auctioneer hesitated, unsure if the bid was genuine. "Sir, are you placing a bid?" he asked, his voice tinged with doubt. Yes, the farmer replied firmly. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried a quiet determination. The bid was accepted, and the gavel came down. Sold, the auctioneer announced, though even he seemed surprised. The farmer walked toward the ring as the crowd erupted with laughter and mockery. "What a fool!" someone shouted. Another added, "That horse will never be worth anything." But the farmer didn't care about the jeers or the judgmental looks. He gently approached the horse, speaking softly to it. The horse flinched at first, unused to kindness, but the farmer patiently extended his hand, letting the horse sense his intentions. Slowly, he led the horse out of the ring, leaving the crowd behind. Little did they know, this decision would soon leave every single one of them speechless. As the farmer guided the trembling horse back to his humble farm, his mind raced with thoughts of the challenges ahead. He had taken a bold step, one that many would call foolish. But in his heart, he knew he couldn't abandon this creature. His world, though simple and full of struggles, was a sanctuary where even the weakest deserved a chance to thrive. The farmer's land wasn't much, but it was his pride. Tucked away at the edge of a quiet valley, it stood as a testament to years of relentless toil. The farmhouse was old, with paint peeling off its wooden boards, and the roof bore patches from years of makeshift repairs. The barn, though small, was sturdy and weathered, filled with the scent of hay and earthy warmth. The fields stretched in uneven patches of green and brown, reflecting the harsh realities of farming on difficult soil. The crops often yielded just enough to sustain him, leaving little for luxuries. He didn't have tractors or fancy equipment. Instead, he relied on his hands, a rusty plow, and sheer determination. Despite its simplicity, the farm held a charm of its own. Every morning, the rising sun painted the skies in hues of pink and orange, casting a soft glow over the land. Birds flitted about, their songs filling the air, while a gentle breeze carried the scent of wildflowers from the nearby meadow. This was the life the farmer had known for years, a life of hard work, modest rewards, and unwavering resilience. It was a far cry from the glittering wealth of the auction he had just left behind, but to him, it was home. When the farmer brought the horse to his barn, the animal hesitated at the entrance. Its eyes darted nervously, and its legs wobbled as if it wasn't sure whether to trust the man leading it. The farmer paused, giving the horse time to adjust. "It's all right," he said softly. "You're safe here." The barn wasn't grand, but it was clean and well kept. The stalls were lined with fresh straw, and a faint golden light filtered through the cracks in the wooden walls. For the first time in what seemed like forever, the horse stepped onto a soft, welcoming surface. The farmer carefully guided it into a stall at the far end of the barn, where it would have some peace and quiet. He noticed the scars on its body, raw patches where the harness had been too tight, wounds that hadn't been treated properly. His heart ached as he imagined the pain the horse must have endured. After settling the horse into its new home, the farmer brought a bucket of fresh water and a pile of hay. The horse eyed him warily, its ears twitching with uncertainty. The farmer didn't force anything. He simply placed the food and water within reach and sat on a small stool nearby. For the next several hours, he remained there, not saying much, just letting the horse sense his presence. At first, the horse kept its distance, but slowly, it began to lower its head, sniffing the hay and taking cautious sips of water. This small act of trust gave the farmer hope. "This isn't just a barn," he murmured. "This is a new beginning. For both of us, the days that followed were anything but easy." The horse required constant care, and the farmer's already tight resources were stretched to their limit. Each morning, he woke before dawn to tend to his crops, but now, his routine also included tending to the horse. The animal was in worse condition than he'd realized. It was severely malnourished, its ribs visible beneath its thin coat. Its legs were weak, and it struggled to walk even short distances. The wounds on its body needed cleaning and dressing daily, and the farmer often found himself spending hours trying to make the horse comfortable. The financial burden was immense. The farmer had barely enough money to feed himself, and now he had to buy extra supplies for the horse. Special feed, bandages, and ointments. He began selling off small items he could part with. An old radio, a few tools he rarely used, and even some of his prized heirlooms. His neighbors watched with skepticism and, at times, outright mockery. "Why waste your time on that broken-down horse?" one of them asked. "It's not worth the trouble." Another added, "You'll never get anything out of it. Just let it go." But the farmer refused to give up. To him, the horse wasn't just an animal. It was a living being that had been given a raw deal in life. He saw himself in the horse, remembering the times he had been dismissed and underestimated by others. At night, after long days of work, he would sit by the horse's stall, speaking to it in a calm, soothing voice. "You've been through so much," he would say, "but you're not alone anymore. We'll get through this together." The horse began to respond in small ways. It no longer flinched when the farmer approached. It started to eat more and even let him gently stroke its neck. These tiny victories fueled the farmer's determination. As the weeks passed, the horse began to show signs of improvement. Its coat, though still patchy, started to regain some of its shine. Its legs grew steadier, and its eyes, once filled with fear, began to reflect a spark of trust. The journey was far from over, but the bond between the farmer and the horse had grown unbreakable. Together, they were defying the odds, proving that even the weakest could find strength with love and care. As the days turned into weeks, the once weak and trembling horse slowly began to change. It was a gradual process, one that tested the patience of both the farmer and the horse. But every small step forward was a victory, and it became clear that with time, this horse could rise from its troubled past. The first few weeks were the hardest. The horse still seemed fragile, as if the weight of its past struggles hung around its neck like an invisible burden. It wasn't just its body that needed to heal, the emotional scars were just as deep. The horse would flinch at loud noises or sudden movements, and it often cowered in the corner of its stall, unsure of what the day would bring. The farmer knew that progress would not be swift, and he didn't rush it. He took things one day at a time. Each morning, after tending to his crops, he would spend time with the horse, brushing its coat gently, talking to it in soft tones, and offering it food and water. Slowly, the horse began to look forward to these moments. One morning, the horse allowed the farmer to approach without retreating to the back of the stall. It stood still, ears pricked, and let him touch its neck without flinching. This small act of trust meant more to the farmer than anything else. It was a sign that the horse was slowly letting go of its fear, opening up to the possibility of healing. The transformation was happening, but it was slow, like a flower bud opening just a little bit each day, revealing a glimpse of the beauty inside. As the weeks passed, the horse's physical condition began to improve as well. With careful feeding and consistent care, it began to gain weight. Its coat, once dull and patchy, started to regain its shine. The horse's movements, though still cautious, grew stronger, and it no longer stumbled as it walked. The farmer introduced light exercise, leading the horse in slow circles around the barnyard each day. At first, the horse was hesitant, dragging its hooves as if it wasn't sure if it could carry its own weight. But with time, it began to move more freely, gaining strength with every step. The farmer kept a close eye on the horse's progress, always mindful of not pushing too hard. He would praise the horse for every step forward, saying, "You're doing great, boy. We're almost there." The horse began to show more confidence. It started to interact with the other animals on the farm, cautiously sniffing at the cow and nuzzling the chickens as they pecked around the yard. It was no longer the fearful creature that had been abandoned at the auction. It was beginning to discover its own strength. In the evenings, the farmer would sit on the porch, watching the horse graze in the field. He often found himself reflecting on how far they had come together. It was a reminder that sometimes strength was built not just from physical effort, but from the quiet moments of patience, trust, and resilience. The real turning point came one crisp autumn morning, when the farmer decided to push the horse a little further. It had been months since the horse had come into his life, and he knew it was time to see what the animal was truly capable of. After the usual morning routine, The farmer led the horse to the small, makeshift arena in the yard, a space he had cleared months ago, hoping that one day, the horse might be ready to use it. He gently guided the horse to the center of the ring, asking it to trot around in a circle. The horse hesitated at first, its body stiff with uncertainty. "Come on, boy," the farmer encouraged, his voice steady. "You can do this." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deep breath, the horse took its first step forward. Slowly, it picked up the pace, trotting around the arena with more confidence than the farmer had ever seen. Its movements were still hesitant, but there was a sense of purpose in its stride. As the horse made its way around the ring, the farmer felt a wave of pride wash over him. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment the horse showed that it could stand on its own, that it could trust again, and that it had the strength to rise above its past. The horse's transformation wasn't just physical. It was emotional too. It had gone from being a frightened, broken creature to one that was beginning to thrive. And that was something the farmer couldn't have achieved on his own. It was a partnership, a bond forged through patience, care, and love. By the time the horse finished its lap around the arena, it was breathing heavily, but its eyes were clear. It was no longer the broken animal that had been rejected at the auction. It was a symbol of resilience, of how far it had come, and of the incredible strength that lay within it. This was the moment the farmer had been waiting for. The moment when the horse proved it was ready for whatever the future held. After months of hard work and relentless dedication, the time had finally come for the farmer and his horse to face the ultimate challenge. The auction where the horse had been rejected seemed like a distant memory now. What was once a timid, weak animal was now poised to take on the competition of a lifetime. But what was this competition, and how did they get here? One day, while the farmer was walking into town to buy some supplies, he overheard a conversation at the local diner. A group of wealthy individuals sat around a table, discussing an upcoming event that was set to take place in the nearby city. It was a prestigious equestrian competition, known for attracting the best horses from all over the country. The winner would receive not only a large cash prize, but also immense recognition from the elite horse racing world. The farmer overheard words like elite, prestigious, and invitation only. It seemed like an event for millionaires and highly trained horses. Everything his horse wasn't supposed to be. But as the farmer listened, he realized that this could be the opportunity he had been waiting for. His horse had come so far, and despite being rejected for its weakness at the auction, he knew the horse had something special within it. His heart raced as he approached the table and politely inquired about the event. One of the well-dressed men laughed and said, "It's a high-stakes competition. Only the finest horses are invited. But I doubt someone like you would ever get a chance to enter." The farmer didn't let the man's dismissive tone bother him. Determined to give his horse a chance, he asked for more details. The man reluctantly gave him the name of the event and the entry requirements, still smirking at the thought of a lowly farm horse competing against such prestigious contenders. The farmer returned home with the name of the event echoing in his mind. As soon as he reached the barn, he took a long, deep breath and looked at the horse. "We've come this far, haven't we? Now let's show them what you can do," he whispered. There was no time to waste. The horse had made tremendous progress, but competing in such an event would require more than just the bond they shared. It would take intense preparation. The farmer knew he had limited resources, but he was ready to give everything to help his horse succeed. Over the next few weeks, he worked tirelessly with the horse. Each day, they practiced running on the fields, learning to navigate obstacles, and perfecting the precision needed for the competition. Though the horse was still learning, its confidence had grown, and it started to embrace the challenge. The once hesitant creature now trotted with purpose, its powerful muscles rippling as it galloped across the field. Despite his lack of experience, the farmer was determined to make this work. He reached out to a few local trainers who, though skeptical, agreed to offer advice. They were surprised at how quickly the horse adapted and began to improve. Still, the odds were stacked against them. The competition would be fierce, and the farmer and his horse were far from the favored competitors. But they had something the others didn't: heart, resilience, and an unwavering determination to succeed. On the day of the competition, the farmer and his horse arrived at the event grounds. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the sound of hooves pounding the ground and the excited chatter of the crowd. Immaculately groomed horses and their owners arrived in their polished vehicles, flaunting their wealth and status. The contrast between the farmer and the others was stark. He arrived in an old truck, wearing worn boots and a faded shirt, while the millionaires and elite competitors flaunted designer outfits and high-end gear. But the farmer didn't let it shake his confidence. He stood tall as he led his horse into the arena, ignoring the whispers from the crowd. His focus was entirely on the horse, his eyes filled with pride and belief in its abilities. The horse, though nervous at first, responded to his calm presence. As they entered the ring, the onlookers couldn't help but notice the bond between the two, their shared history, their struggle, and their unshakable trust. The competition was a series of grueling tests. Jumps, sprints, and obstacle courses that would push both horse and rider to their limits. The farmer knew they were up against horses trained by professionals, with owners who could afford the best equipment and facilities. But none of that mattered to the farmer. He only had one goal in mind: to show everyone that strength comes from the heart, not from wealth. The crowd gasped as the farmer and his horse flawlessly navigated each challenge. With every jump, every sprint, and every obstacle, it became clear that this wasn't just any horse. This was a horse that had been given a second chance, a horse that defied the odds, and a horse that was stronger than anyone could have ever imagined. The final test was a difficult series of jumps that required precision and speed. The horse, though tired, approached each jump with confidence, clearing them effortlessly. The crowd was on its feet, cheering, stunned by the horse's grace and agility. When the competition came to an end, the results were announced. The farmer and his horse stood silently, their hearts racing. The millionaire competitors exchanged looks, unsure of what to expect. And then, to everyone's surprise, the announcement came. The winner of the competition was the farm horse, the one that no one had believed in. The crowd went silent for a moment, before erupting into shocked applause. The millionaire competitors were speechless, unable to fathom how a horse they had written off as weak had beaten them all. One of them even approached the farmer, shaking his head in disbelief. You've done the impossible," he said. "I never thought a horse like that could make it this far. But you've proven us all wrong." The farmer simply smiled, his heart full. This wasn't just a victory for him and the horse. It was a triumph of resilience, determination, and the power of believing in second chances. As the farmer and his horse left the arena, they weren't just leaving with a trophy and a cash prize. They were leaving with the knowledge that they had defied the odds, showing the world that strength, heart, and perseverance matter more than anything money could buy. After the dust had settled, and the applause from the competition slowly faded into memory, the farmer and his horse stood together in the quiet of the evening. The crowd's excitement, the shouts of victory, and the flashing cameras were all distant sounds now. What remained was the bond they had forged over time, stronger than ever, unbreakable and full of meaning. But what did it all mean for the farmer? How had this unexpected victory changed his life? As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the fields, the farmer sat on a nearby rock, looking out over the land he had worked for so many years. His mind wandered back to the day he had first seen the horse at the auction, rejected and weak, just like him in so many ways. He had been hesitant, unsure of what to do, but something about the horse's eyes spoke to him, just as it had when they first crossed paths. Now, with the victory in the prestigious competition behind them, the farmer realized how far they had come together. He thought about all the sleepless nights, the early mornings of training, the struggles they had endured. It wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about the journey, about the trust they had built, the obstacles they had overcome, and the life-changing lessons they had learned. Looking at the horse, the farmer couldn't help but smile. He had given this horse a chance, just as the horse had given him a chance. They had both started at rock bottom, with people writing them off, yet here they were, standing at the pinnacle of success. It was more than a victory. It was a testament to the power of believing in something or someone when no one else does. As the farmer walked back to the barn, he was met by a young boy, no older than 8 or 9, who had been standing at the fence, watching the entire competition. The boy had heard about the horse's transformation from the local community and had been following their story with awe. His eyes were wide with admiration as he approached the farmer. "I watched you and the horse in the competition," the boy said shyly. "You did it. You really did it. Everyone said that horse was too weak, but you showed them, didn't you?" The farmer knelt down to the boy's level, looking into his eyes. "It wasn't just me who did it," the farmer said with a soft smile. "It was the horse too. We both had to believe in each other." The boy nodded, his face brightening as he understood the deeper message. "I want to be like you," the boy said, his voice filled with hope. "I want to show everyone that I can do something amazing, just like you did with your horse." The farmer's heart swelled with emotion. This moment was a powerful reminder of why he had done all of this in the first place. The horse's journey wasn't just a personal triumph. It was something that inspired others, gave them hope, and showed them that with hard work and belief, anything was possible. The boy's words echoed in the farmer's mind long after he had returned to the barn. "I want to be like you." As the days passed, the farmer had an important decision to make. The money and recognition from the competition were significant, but he knew deep down that it wasn't the money that mattered. He had been offered lucrative deals for the horse, a chance to sell it to the highest bidder, making enough money to change his life forever. The millionaires, impressed by the horse's transformation, wanted to purchase it. But the farmer knew what was truly valuable. He had found something in the horse that he could never sell: the bond they shared, the lessons they had taught each other, and the life they had built together. Sitting alone in the barn, he gazed at the horse one last time. He remembered all the challenges they had faced, all the times they had almost given up. The horse had come to him at a time when he had nothing, and now it was a symbol of redemption, strength, and hope. How could he sell that? After much thought, the farmer made his decision. He would keep the horse not for the money, but because of the journey they had shared. He wasn't in it for the fame or fortune. He was in it for something more meaningful, the chance to keep inspiring others, just as he had been inspired. The horse would stay, and together, they would continue their journey, not just as a farmer and his horse, but as a reminder to everyone that even the weakest among us can rise and become something extraordinary. The farmer's decision to keep the horse was more than just a personal one. It carried a deeper message to everyone who had followed their journey. It was a message of redemption, hope, and resilience. It was a reminder that success doesn't always come from the most polished, the most expensive, or the most glamorous. Sometimes, success comes from the quiet strength that's built over time, from the small moments that nobody notices, from the unwavering belief that change is possible. As word of the horse's victory spread, the farmer began to receive letters and messages from people all over the country. They shared their own stories of struggle and triumph, many of them inspired by the journey of the farmer and his horse. The world was watching, and they had witnessed something rare, a true tale of redemption. This wasn't just a story about a horse and its farmer. It was about every person who had ever been told they weren't good enough, every individual who had ever been cast aside, and every dream that had been deemed impossible. It was a story that reminded everyone that they were capable of greatness, no matter where they started. As the farmer stood with his horse in the field, the wind gently rustling their hair, he knew that they had both found something priceless. Not just victory, but a purpose. They were no longer just an unlikely pair. They were a living testament to the power of second chances, and to the belief that no one should ever give up on themselves. What about you? Have you ever been told that you couldn't achieve your dreams? Have you ever felt like you didn't have what it takes? The farmer and his horse are living proof that, no matter where you start, you have the strength to overcome the odds. If this story inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others who need a reminder that they too can rise above their challenges. Remember, redemption is possible, hope is real, and with determination, anything is achievable. Subscribe for more inspiring stories that will touch your heart and show you that anything is possible, no matter what obstacles you face.